Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Wiggs, and I'll be the mediator for today's session. I received my master's in conflict management and resolution from UNC Wilmington, concentrating on domestic, social, and organization conflict. I have been trained in mediation along with a certification in mediation. I will explain the process of mediation so everyone will be on the same page. We will begin by hearing each person involved in the case. We will be respectful to each other and will not interrupt the person that is speaking at the time. Then once all information is given, we can begin to see if we can agree on a resolution to the problem. If the parties can agree, we will caucus to see if an alternative approach to come to an agreement. If there are no solutions or one of the parties does not want to continue mediation, you have the right to stop the mediation. I am not here to give you legal advice, so you have the right to counsel and break during mediation to contact them for legal advice. If you come to an agreement that may affect your legal rights, it may be reviewed by an attorney prior to signing. All information is confidential and can be used during the trial. There are restrooms and water fountains for your use if you need a break at your discretion. Do you have any questions or concern for me currently, and would you like to try mediation? Okay, so we will start by introducing ourselves, and we're going to start with Emmanuel.
My name is Emmanuel. I am a tractor operator and foreman for our crews. I think first and foremost, I'm here to represent on behalf of a lot of the crews, including Eric, the issue of rockscaping and landscaping in order to preserve the peace and safety of our crews, as well as the school children.
There's never been a safety issue.
Lewis, we will get to you.
They just don't understand.
Sir, we have to be respectful.
We feel that we're having a lot of issues in that area that we would like to discuss at this mediation today. Additionally, we have discussed, after discussing that amongst the crews, discussed some of our pay and found that we are not all getting paid equally, and so I would like to address the issue of pay amongst our crews as well.
Okay, I'm Eric. I'm one of the groundskeepers here and helping represent some of our other fellow groundskeepers that couldn't make it today to discuss, like Emmanuel said, the aspect of rockscaping and landscaping and some of the slopier or hilly areas that are becoming a safety concern.
I'm Lewis. I'm the grounds manager here, and their concerns are totally invalid, and there is no evidence to support their claims. I have a lot of experience.
Okay, there's no, we have experience too.
Emmanuel, you've had your turn. You're gonna have more.
That was an insult.
Okay, yes,
it was an insult.
Lewis, can we just keep this civil?
I certainly hope so. I'm all about rules
It
and
would start
order.
with you, sweetheart.
Emmanuel, you can't call me sweetheart. But
Amigo.
Like I said, okay, we won't have that conversation right now. Go ahead.
I'm all about rules and order because I have had a long career in the military, and a lot of these kids are stepping out of line and really not doing their jobs, not doing what they were hired for, which is an honest 8 hours of work. And they come in here and they say that,
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is very distracting.
Okay, y'all can talk later. Go ahead.
And
Let's be a little bit more respectful when you're referring to your employees instead of calling them kids, okay?
right,
Or
well,
you
these
talking about-
20-year-olds here are thinking that they're engineers and they were hired to do a job which is landscaping, and they're not. They're doing that job poorly because what they want to do. I'm sorry. This is.
Emmanuel and Eric, we're gonna have to have a little bit more respect on
We
your side
apologize.
too, if you want to get the same type of respect.
We apologize.
Thank you.
I'll rest my case for now.
Okay. We'll get back to you. Go ahead.
My name's Thomas. I'm the director of the facilities here, and I'm just here to hear everybody's concerns and hopefully come up with a solution.
Oh, okay. All right. So, in listening to Emmanuel and Eric, I'm hearing two different cases to be mediated. And so I think we should do one at a time, the rockscaping, landscaping first, and then the payroll issue, and, since that's not a concern of yours, Eric, would you have a problem be excusing yourself?
No, sounds good.
Okay, so we'll start with the rockscaping. Everyone in agreement to that? Is that
Yeah,
how we're
sounds good.
supposed to do it? Okay, so we're gonna start with the rock landscaping issue first. Emmanuel?
So as I had mentioned in introductions, we're having a lot of issues with the, steeply graded slopes, and the hills that we have to mow. It's become increasingly difficult for the groundskeepers to be able to use the mowers on those hills. And so we've, been questioning whether to move, as the foreman, overseeing these crews, we've been questioning whether or not to move the crews to weed eating instead. However, that severely restricts our already very limited and tight schedule. And so we're trying to discuss whether or not we'd be able to implement or to put in some type of rockscaping or landscaping on these slopes instead, so that it would be an increase in the initial investment, however, pay off over time and saving us the man hours that we're spending trying to mow these areas, as well as make it a safer work environment.
If they just worked during these man hours, they wouldn't have the opportunity to come and complain.
Louis, you're gonna have your turn. Continue.
As I was saying, we're seeing it increasingly become an issue, and as a foreman, I'm having a lot of complaints from my crew. That being said, Eric here is part of that crew and had come up with some ideas about what we could do about it, and is gonna be, a representative for the other groundskeepers that he had been discussing it with to try and help us with the issue.
Yeah, so like Emmanuel said, mowing these steep slopes are becoming increasingly dangerous. Not only for us as the groundskeepers, but also for the elementary school kids as well. So this is becoming a dual issue where it's dangerous for us, but also it's pushing back their recess time or alternating their recess time altogether, because the large mowers can throw rocks their way and it's becoming a hazard to them. So that's the first concern for us. And secondly, if we switch over to weed eating or weed whacking that area, it's taking us an exponentially longer amount of time to do this. So that pushes back our already tight schedule of the rest of the things that we have on the list of things to do for that day and also that week. So that pushes back our timeline for every other assignment that we have to do. So it's not as effective right now what we're doing for the cost, and also it's hurting us in the long run because the rest of our assignments are being pushed back.
I think you just have to understand that it's not exactly in the budget for us to, like, this money has to come from somewhere for us to just put in these new mechanical things for landscaping. And do you guys have any idea of?
They have
what kind
no
of budget?
clue how much any of this would cost, and it's wild to see them come to a meeting like this and just say that these things are dangerous. We've never had any safety issues, and time consuming. Well, we pay you to be there for 8 hours. We'd whack for 8 hours if that's what it takes,
It
This is
doesn't
just
quite
how it's always
work-
been.
It doesn't quite work that way.
And it shouldn't be on us to find the
Okay,
I thought
budget.
this was our time to talk.
Let Louis talk, and he'll get back to
It's just crazy because it seems like they're not doing their job on the amount of time that we have allotted for them, and that's what we pay them for. Not to assess engineering of slopes and grades. It's to weed whack or mow, whichever one is more effective, and that's what they should be doing. They don't have any concept of how much this would cost, and they're not even bringing those numbers or figures to us to see right now. So what were we supposed to do about it?
Well, as our grounds manager, we're supposed to be pushing up issues that we see out on the forefront to you all to then decide on, okay, I need to come up with a budget. And when I say I mean the collective two of you, as our supervisors, and then decide
We don't have a budget.
if this is a feasible,
Dana.
if this is a feasible outcome or solution to the issue that we see. you say that you pay us for 8 hours a day to weed whack or to mow. However, what happens with the rest of our assignments that we have for the week? If we're not completing our assignments on our designated timeline, then it falls on us that we're not doing the work properly
Certainly
in
does.
your eyes. However, you don't set conditions for us to effectively complete our tasks. It's impossible or improbable for us to complete a week's task if we're spending 2 to 3 days just weed whacking one area for 8 hours a day. It's improbable. So I'm giving you a solution as our supervisor that if we could put rockscaping down, that then limits the cost that you're paying us to weed whack an area for 2 to 3 days, as well as it allows us to be more effective in completing other assignments.
I think we appreciate your ideas, it's just hard because we aren't able to just put this in, we don't have the money for it. It's something that goes above us.
Then take it, we're encouraging you to take it above you, because this is clearly, I mean, it's not
What's
just,
the timeline that you're looking at for this?
I mean, I don't.
They don't even have a timeline. See?
Okay, we're getting off track. So, where you finished?
What's the timeline that you're looking at for this?
We'd like to move our groundskeepers away from using the push mowers as soon as possible. So we're thinking the next time we're doing it, we're just gonna move to weed whacking anyway, and if that restricts our schedule, then it restricts our schedule. So really, however long you'd like us to be able to push all of our projects back and all of our deadlines back and not be getting our stuff on time is kind of on you. But it's really not feasible for us to be able to using push mowers anymore. So as soon as you can take this to the board and get a decision for us and either rework our schedule so that we can incorporate weed whacking in and still get everything done, or find a way for us to use rockscaping and landscaping to mitigate the safety hazards that we're experiencing right now, would be great.
It's not something that we can guarantee that we're just gonna be able to put in a certain number of things to do this. It's something that we can definitely discuss, but we're gonna have to communicate with the school board to figure out scheduling. It's something that we can propose at a later date. The school board meets quarterly, so it's not gonna be soon. That will give us time to talk about it.
I would say that this needs to be discussed at the next,
Which will
board
be
meeting.
quarterly, so it'll be about 3 months. But that'll give you guys 3 months. You guys can be involved in the process, and we can sit down and we can talk about it and draft solutions to propose. And we can be an active part of proposing that, if that's something that you guys would be interested in doing.
I mean, yes, definitely, but then also on the flip side, you, as our supervisors, you have to be okay with this, our timeline of assignments being pushed back as well. Because this is gonna take us longer to weed whack these areas until we can get some traction in the school board.
I think that's something we're also gonna have to just talk about, because we've been doing this for a very long time and this hasn't been.
Never been an
It's
issue
never-
the
before.
situation has changed over time. This has not been a stagnant thing. The ground is not always the same.
Emmanuel, are you
conditions are
really
not
saying
always
that
the
hills
same.
have gotten
Hold
steeper?
on,
Yeah.
Liz.
That's literally exactly what I'm saying, yes.
In the last 5 years?
Yep, that sounds about the right time that something like that would happen. Wouldn't you say so yourself,
This is
Eric?
insane.
Yes.
Erosion, there's
Okay.
soil erosion, there's different conditions, there's a bunch of things that could play into it, that have played into it, where we've seen the slopes change.
So it's.
They just need to soldier on, get through it, and do their job.
And we're saying that's fine, and we will be more than happy to do that, but it's gonna take an extra week to do.
Okay, so.
But we get paid by the hour, so that's fine.
Okay, so it sounded like we were coming close to an agreement. Was that the case with waiting 3 months and then come back and have a solution?
We strongly feel like this needs to be a priority to be discussed at the next board meeting.
Okay, and that would be in 3 months is what you're saying. So if they meet and then they meet with you the next week, is that an agreement that you can live with as far as trying to get the landscaping, propscaping?
What do you mean to meet with us the next week?
Okay, if they have to meet with the board to come up, I guess, with a figure to how much it will cost to go to the rockscaping, landscaping, then they can come back to you and let you know the decision.
We'd like to be involved in the process too, because I feel like our
So
groundskeepers
you
have a
want
lot
to
of
go to the-
experience.
You want to go to the board meeting also, is what
You're more than
saying.
welcome to go to the board meeting, but I think what's important is that we all sit down and discuss a proposal. We all have, before the meeting, before in 3 months the meeting that comes up, we all need to have a meeting, just with us, and sit down and talk about, what we're looking at and what we wanna propose.
So
But we
is
have to be realistic about it.
So do you wanna have another mediation session, or you just want to
No.
come together and work
I would,
on that?
I want us to be involved in the process, and so I think that that's probably a doable solution, that we
Okay.
meet, at some point, we meet with the rest of the groundskeeping crews before the meeting, construct a plan together that we're comfortable with proposing at the board.
Okay.
We could have a couple of representatives go to the board meeting, whether or not they speak, I think they'd at least like to attend and
You will.
observe it, and then we can meet afterwards and discuss.
So we're all in agreement.
I suppose.
Well, thank you, Lou. That'll work. So everybody is in agreement, so good luck with your meeting. And that will conclude this part of the mediation for the rock landscaping, and we will go on to the payroll issue next.
Okay.
Okay, so Emmanuel, now it's your turn to discuss the payroll issue.
So I have met with some of my other workers, and we have found, we were discussing pay at the same time that we were discussing rockscaping, and found that we feel that we are getting paid significantly less. In fact, we did the math and found that it's 40% less than some of our coworkers, and I don't think that's fair, because we're all doing the same job, and I don't see any reason for us to be getting paid less.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, if you ask me, I mean, I don't wanna pull this, but it's only the Latino workers, and all of the white workers are getting paid 40% more than we are, and we're getting paid 40% less than them. And so it kinda feels like.
Do you hear this? She's
Hold
coming
on.
to me.
Okay.
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, I'm
finish.
Ecuadorian.
I-
Hello.
Oh, Louis, let her finish, okay?
Well,
Look.
You have
I don't
your-
know who assigned these pays and whether or not it was you, but you're not exactly treating your kin very kindly, because it's only the Latino workers that are getting paid less. So how do you justify
Have they
that?
even considered the alternatives to this?
What
That it's only the
alternatives?
the Latinos
Okay,
that
there's-
didn't.
Okay,
didn't
it's
let her
only,
finish.
every single other person that we work with, it's only two races, it's white and it's Latino, and that's
Okay.
it. And so all of the Latinos are getting paid less. How else do you justify something like that? What else do you think would be going on? It's clearly racist.
It is not racist.
Es racismo!
Is it my turn to speak yet? This
Let
is-
her finish.
Absolutely.
Dios mío.
Let's speak English, cause I don't understand what you're saying. So therefore, let's be fair to your mediator. So go ahead. Okay.
The fact of the matter is, when these individuals came to interview for a job, everybody gets the same base salary. Now, if you want to negotiate your wage to perhaps get a better wage, we're open to doing that. Show us.
There wasn't
Show us your
ever,
value.
there was no discussion, it was,
Emmanuel,
do you
I'm
want the
sorry.
job or not? And then after we had been
Emmanuel,
hired, they
let's-
said that
okay,
this is what you're
Emmanuel,
getting
you had
paid.
your turn.
I will
Let him finish, I'm sorry.
Well, so this disparity between pay is entirely of their own doing. They didn't decide to
Who's
question the
they?
pay. You three, Gregorio, Emmanuel, and Jose. You didn't decide to negotiate your pay at all. We asked if you had any issues with this, if you'd like to accept the job. You all accepted the job wholeheartedly. You were very excited about it, and that's that. You can always negotiate pay. The other three that we're talking about negotiated their pay. They got a little bit higher. Apparently it's 40%, but those numbers aren't validated yet. But perhaps it is higher, and it's because they started at the same level and then negotiated their way up. How can I? That's not my fault, and it's certainly not racist.
There is a process to hiring, and when you come in to get a job,
just gonna let Whitey here.
Oh, no.
Speak about it.
Whoa.
Just
man,
your
you
That's-
boss,
You have
but,
to be respectful, let's be respectful and civil.
no, there is a process, and when you come in to get a job, you agree to a certain wage, and you agreed to that wage when you were hired. Of course, we're always open to negotiating further.
When we
down the
discussed
line if
this
you
with the
bring it up.
coworkers, they did not say anything about negotiating their wages. They said that they were offered those wages, if not higher.
You were offered a certain wage whenever we discussed the job.
That's what
and
the
I
job
don't-
opening
and
is
then
for.
I
they-
don't believe we were offered the same
One at a
wages.
time, one at a time.
You were offered the same wages. You conducted the interviews.
I did. They were all started
And
out.
that's how we always,
All of our job postings start at $10 an hour. You can come in, do your interview, and accept $10 an hour. Some people didn't. They had prior experience, and they negotiated for themselves, and they got a little bit higher.
you have to advocate for yourself in a job interview.
When I talked to my coworkers, they said that they were offered 12.
Well, they may have been trying to make you feel better, but that's also
They said that you looked at their resume and you initiated it and said, it looks like based on your experience, we actually have a range going here and we can pay you 12. That's how they said it to us. And then they may have gotten it higher, but they were at least initially offered 12 and then they got it to 40% higher.
it's just not the case.
Okay.
Well, then I want a chance to negotiate my wages.
As we've said, you have
You have
opportunity.
every
When do I have
opportunity to do
that?
that.
When do I have that
At any
opportunity?
point, you
We
can
hardly
say-
ever see him out. He has no idea what's going on. He didn't know what was going on with the rockscaping and
You're
the
the
landscaping.
foreman.
He disagrees
Okay,
with everything
yeah.
there. I want an opportunity, and all of my men want an opportunity as well. Myself,
Okay.
Gregario, and Jose all want to
Okay,
be
we're
able
going
to.
We're going to, I'm gonna interrupt you because we're going to go into a caucus. Okay, Emmanuel, we are going to have a caucus because we're not getting anywhere with this, we're going back and forth. So if you will excuse us for a few minutes.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Okay, so this is going back and forth between you and Emmanuel, so do you think we can come to an agreement where he will be able to negotiate his salary?
It's almost like he doesn't want to negotiate his salary, that he just wants to call us racist for not
But-
sticking up for
okay,
himself
but
when he
it's-
was.
We know it's not a racist issue.
I know that.
Okay, so what can you,
I mean, he's always welcome to come and speak with us about this.
okay,
As we
But
said, he has plenty of opportunity to meet with us and renegotiate.
and the other two?
yeah, and absolutely.
Any-
too.
yeah.
Okay,
Instead of doing that, though, he's just come out and said that we're racist. He never even, tried to renegotiate with us.
okay, but that is an option that they
Sure,
can.
yeah, I could see that being perfectly fine.
Okay, well then, I think we're on our way to a solution. I'm going to caucus with Emmanuel now.
Okay,
Okay, and if you'll excuse us.
sounds good.
Okay, Emmanuel, so, what is your goal here? Is it to call them racist, or is it to get a raise, or to negotiate your salary? What do
I'm
you
not just
want?
trying to come out here and paint them as being racist. It just seems that the evidence presented in front of me is very difficult to, it's offensive and it hurts. It's hurtful to look at your coworkers and think even for a second that they might be getting something better than you just because of the way they were born. It's not fair. And it hurt. It was something that affected all of us where regardless of whether it is true or not, there was a second there where morale was just really defeated. And so, I mean, we came in here and the first thing that we discussed today was the rockscaping, landscaping issue, which is very important, and I'm glad that we came to an agreement about that. But we've got our grounds manager. I never see Thomas. That's like one of the first times I've ever seen Thomas in my life. And we've got a grounds manager that's very hard on us. Somebody who comes in and thinks that we're just millennials, we don't know what we're doing, we just don't really get a lot of respect from him. And so even starting with the rockscaping issue, we just have not been, it's constant tongue lashings from Lewis, who's degrading us and telling us that we don't know how to do our jobs and we're not taking him seriously, and if we just worked harder, like, you know, the American dream, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and like, that was already enough, like, that was already enough to just kind of make us angry.
Right.
But then when we were already talking about, like, myself and Gregorio and Jose were already talking about, okay, what can we do to fix this rockscaping issue? And then we got into pay, it was just one thing after another, and it compounded the issue that we were already dealing with. And so, honestly, what it boils down is, it just, I feel like, I could agree, maybe it's, I'm not saying that there aren't racist policies in place here, but I'm struggling to see that they have any respect for, between those two issues and how much they've been fighting us, and the way that the pay scale is structured, it kind of seems like there's something else going on here. Regardless of whether it's racist intent or just a lack of respect, they don't seem like they care about their workers a whole lot, and care about our feelings and how well, you know, the workplace morale. But definitely, it does seem like it's related to race here. I mean, there's a clear divide right down the line between race. There's nothing else that distinguishes me from my coworker except the color of our skin and where we were born and how we came to this country, and they're getting paid more than I am. I mean,
Okay, but if we can get them, you can have your chance to renegotiate your salary, and Gregarious and Jose, could we come to an agreement? Would you be willing to accept that as a solution?
it would
That
be,
you would get your chance to renegotiate your salary?
if we renegotiate and I come out with an unsatisfactory salary, it's going to be difficult for me to get over this. However, I do think that starting with renegotiating your salaries, which is what they claim, is where, because my coworkers don't have any more experience than I do. In fact, some of them have less. So if we come out of this negotiations and feel that we actually get the renegotiating our salary and get something comparable to our coworkers and close that 40% gap, I'm either gonna need more justification for why they're getting paid more, based on work ethic, but I do think that's a good place to start, is
Okay,
discussing it.
so we're gonna bring them back in, and we're gonna have this discussion, and we're gonna see if we can get this negotiation started on the pay. So I'm gonna bring them back in now, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we are back together, and right now, Emmanuel is willing to negotiate the salary, and you are willing to let him negotiate. Are we all in
As long
agreement?
as he stops calling us racist.
Okay.
Does seem like the policy.
Yeah, and he's going to be more respectful and not, and he won't call you racist. At this
I
point.
want renegotiations for myself and Emmanuel, or myself and Gregorio and Jose. All of us want renegotiations. I'm here to represent them.
Yeah, I mean, you come talk to us.
So do we have an agreement that
I don't wanna
all-
just, you can come talk to us. I want there to be a time that is set for us to come and negotiate our salaries.
All right, well, we can do meetings for the next 3 Fridays.
Okay.
As soon as, after work, 5:30, one of you can come each time. You can perhaps take the first one if you'd like, since you're the foreman. And then we'll set up times for the other 2 to come and speak with us. I don't know, Thomas, can you make it to those? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
perfect.
we'll do that. We'll give you the opportunity to state your case like you would have on the day that you were interviewed, and we'll go through and see if we can improve the wage for you. But it's not just gonna be an automatic improvement. You've got to make a case for yourself, just like anybody else coming in to interview.
I understand how negotiations work.
Okay, so it seems like we have an agreement. And so we're going to bring Eric back in and just to finish all the mediation and summarize everything with the rockscaping and the payroll, and we will call it a done deal.
Okie dokie.
Sounds good.
Okay, so is everybody in agreement right now?
I believe so.
So I'll go get Eric.
Okie dokie.
Okay, wanna thank everybody for reconvening with this mediation, and so we're gonna go over just what we talked about in both sessions. And first, we're going to talk about the rockscaping to see, how we're going to come to a solution for that. And we decided that you will all meet on the first Monday, to come up with a proposal for the board meeting, and this will be in 3 months. And so, after the board meeting, which will be the following Wednesday, you will meet again to discuss what the outcome was of the meeting.
Sounds fair.
Is everybody, okay, and the
Sounds like what we
pay,
agreed to.
okay, and the pay issue, we decided that each, Emmanuel, Gregoria, and Jose would each have a meeting with you and Thomas to discuss their pay, and we'll probably do that like for the next 3 Fridays, so that they can meet with you individually to discuss the pay. So is that what everybody agrees with? Okay, and we'd like to thank you for the mediation session.